Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's event, Unveiling Brilliant Lucara Diamond, hosted by Everlit, the digital transparency company, in collaboration with Hari Krishna Exports, the Indian diamond manufacturer renowned for both trust and confidence. Lucara Diamond, the Canadian mining company with its own secure digital sales platform, and of course the GIA, setting a global standard for diamond grading, and now advancing greater transparency through diamond origin reports. We'll begin today by offering a brief look at how the brilliant Lucara diamond was crafted, as well as its provenance record on the Everledger platform. Now, those gemstone and jewelry brands that registered for this event before Monday should have access to that platform and are connected with Hari Krishna for convenient discovery on your own. Then we'll invite our panel to discuss the diamond's origin, the communities along its path to market, as well as the technologies and trends that are shaping the diamond industry. My name is Eric Robertson, and I'm the head of product marketing here at Everledger, and it is my privilege to introduce today's speakers. Mr. Ganjam Dalakia is the founder and managing director of Hari Krishna, transforming the small diamond manufacturer that started in 1992 into the complete mine-to-market supply chain that it is today, producing over 500,000 carats per year with offices globally and its own jewelry brand, which is now one of the largest distributed diamond jewelry brands in the whole of India. We are also lucky today to be joined by one more leader at Hari Krishna, and that his future forward perspective keeps innovation in the forefront, junior CEO at HK, Brajesh Dalakia. Leanne Kemp is the founder and CEO of Everledger, where her extensive expertise in emerging technologies, business, jewelry, and insurance, addressing real-world challenges driving transparency and trust along global supply chains. He is an appointed member of the World Economic Forum's Global Blockchain Business Council and co-chair for the World Trade Board Sustainable Trade Action Group. He is also on the IBM Blockchain Platform Board of Advisors. Tom Moses is the Executive Vice President and Chief Laboratory and Research Officer at the GIA, where since beginning in 1977. Mr. Moses has also co-authored many articles in the Institute's award-winning journal, Gems and Gemology. And lastly, Dr. John Armstrong is the Vice President, leading technical services at Lucara Diamond Corporation, a Canadian diamond mining company with a producing mine and exploration licenses in Botswana. Dr. Armstrong has over 25 years of combined experience in mineral exploration with an expertise in the assessment and analysis of diamond-sized distributions and content modeling. So welcome to all, and a brief note today for Q&A. If you have any questions during the presentation, please do type them in the Q&A box down below. We've allocated time at the end of the hour to address inquiries directly. Any questions that we are unable to address on account of time may be answered with supplementary information that will post on everledger.io along with the recording of today's discussion. So without further ado, let's unveil this diamond.
Brilliant Lucara diamond is 30.15 carats and grade D flawless, certified by the GIA, and cut from 106.62 carat rough, discovered in the Caraway mine in Botswana. An expert team of analysts, gemologists, and polishers at Hari Krishna crafted this exceptional diamond with the greatest clarity possible, perfectly achieved. Using cutting-edge software, the team plotted the approximate size and value of all the diamonds that could be cut from this original rough stone. With advanced tools and laser precision to shape the diamond, an expert polisher committed many hours to carefully beautifying each facet of this gem for its amazing result. Today, the brilliant Lucara diamond's provenance is discovered as an immutable record on the blockchain and is accessible within the Everledger platform. Traders, retailers, investors, and collectors can discover its origin, details around the original rough, why it was cut into the shape that it was, when it was cut and by whom, and its certificate details. Included in its story is a GIA Diamond Origin Report, which is also complete with a rough to polish match, as well as education on the people and places that helped to create this diamond. This is a new standard in answering questions about origin and authenticity.
Excellent, thank you. So I think that this demonstrates a first in diamond origin traceability on a lot of different levels. And I'd like to begin with Hare Krishna's Gansham Dalakia. Mr. Dalakia, how was this rough planned and cut into its precious state? Maybe can you tell us a little bit more about the origin, about Botswana? Mr. Dalakia, you might be.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, all over the world people. So everywhere something different. First, so nice to meet you, everybody. And we are very lucky that we are Hare Krishna Export Diamond Manufacturing, all foreign people to talk about the how we buy and originally, and also tell about the Hare Krishna. So we are a diamond manufacturing company. Hare Krishna start 1992. Father is a farmer. We are 4 brothers, and we start. And we are very much grow about the India. Today we 1.2 billion turnover about the Hare Krishna group. But our main philosophy, and we believe trust, honesty, hard work. Father is a farmer. Father only say you never forget about the honesty, faith. So our slogan, faith is in the name. Okay, whatever situation come, bad, corona come, recession come, but never forget about the faith in honesty. So good and bad situation, we are grow. Last year also in corona, so much situation, but still we keep our 7,500 employee. So we keep and we maintain good Samay also and bad Samay also. And we are worldwide 82 country we export in Hare Krishna. In all diamond shape we manufacturing. We are manufacturing about the 10.2 50 carat. And inside the one stone we manufacturing about the Lucara in 107 carat rough and 30 carat. So we are very lucky. And Hare Krishna, one philosophy always knew something new happen and new do. 2007 Hare Krishna established the diamond fair and fixed price policy. Before diamond is bargaining. But we 2007 we start the fair and fixed price policy, and then so many company also start that policy, and we are growing business. Our next generation also in our business, one of the bridges. So total we have 8 children. About the 7 come in business. So we are believe in this business, and we are diamond manufacturing, jewelry manufacturing to retail. We have also in Krishna brand in India today available 3,000 shop in India. So we have all experience about the full pipeline, and we believe also okay, what we sell the product, happiness product. Anybody buy in his house some occasion, some function, marriage, anniversary, birthday, Valentine gift. So means ultimately we sell the diamond jewelry like happiness we sell. So we are so sure happy, and we try to all over the world also happy. Who diamond jewelry buy, he also happy. Still not people buy, he also one day buy, and he also happy. So we are very much about this business, and we passion also that business. So we love diamond business. Now talk about the Lucara. So we are buy from all over the world. From direct DTC, we are member, Alroja member, Dominion member, Rio member. Also we buy from Lucara. So this is my nephew in Dharmesh. He live in Belgium. He buy from Lucara tender. So our valuable, our biggest stone, this we buy from this type the value and big stone. In Hare Krishna start 1992, that type the 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent we manufacturing. After 2001, we 20 point up, and this is our biggest valuable product in 30 carat. And what we think in purchase time, that result come. So we are more happy, but this is a different, so many plan that about the explain about my nephew in Bridges. I tell you about the explain about the that plan and all detail.
Thank you, Ghanshyam. So here talking about 106 carat original diamond, we were thinking about whether to take round or other fancy shape. So planning about specifically Lucara brilliant diamond, we thought, why not take a round 30 carat comparing to 40 carat oval? So we see a demand and we see how people will be taking forward. So talking about 30 carat DFL, we had a comparison of oval, and especially talking about days and the planning, it took 67 days from the day the diamond entered into the office and polishing the 30 carat diamond. While planning the whole, we had about 13 polished other diamonds with 106. So specifically, when we compare bigger diamonds, we see what people will take and what is the demand all over together. So this is why we were thinking while planning the whole diamond.
Excellent. This is a really great synopsis of everything that's happened from the tender purchase in Belgium to the 67 days of planning to the stone that we see today. Either Brijesh or Mr. Dalakia, do you have any vision for where this diamond may go?
We to say that ultimately go to direct consumer all over the world, but maybe this is sure any millionaire or billionaire people buy. Normal people to not affordable, but sure where it need more happiness, that people buy. Why that people buy? Okay, this is we have all channel also we have ultimately we every day Hare Krishna 7,500 people every day pray. All people pray and then say who we manufacturing the diamond. Any consumer buy and he use, so he is a happy and good life. That time we pray last 2001 we that time to pray. So sure anybody buy is very happy and sure we are to open all over the world. Then maybe where we go, but maybe possibility that type stone more in China, Hong Kong, that type the people buy. Okay, now is a growing country in China, so that type stone maybe possibility that type the country got that type the stone.
I commend HK on its ability to reach new markets, especially with stories like this. And I think if we continue that story and to pick up on what Mr. Dalakia has described as a purchase of happiness, we also want to feel good about that purchase. And maybe we can learn a little bit about the origin. I think we all know that there's a history of social, environmental, and economic impacts of diamond mining in Botswana. So maybe we can pose to Lucara and Dr. John Armstrong, how is diamond mining affecting the community around the Caraway mine specifically? And maybe can you also tell us what accounts for the recovery of so many historically large diamonds there?
Sure, yes. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Lucara is very, very pleased to be part of this event. Ira Thomas, our CEO, sends her regrets. Unfortunately, she ran into some scheduling issues. So you have to face me today, and I will hopefully be suitable to fill in. And congratulations to Hare Krishna on the purchase of that 106 carat diamond and ultimately the beautiful polished outcome that you presented this morning. We're extremely, as the provider of the rough to you, we're extremely pleased always to see the journey of the diamond through to the ultimate polished, and we don't always get to enjoy that journey. So we're very much pleased to be part of it, and is a beautiful stone, a beautiful outcome. And I think that when we talk about Botswana, when we talk about Karowe, we talk about the impact of diamond mining. The one thing we can remember about Botswana is there's a rich history of almost 50 years of diamond mining in Botswana, going back to the early 1970s with the De Beers and ultimately Debswana mining at Arapa. The Karowe mine is located about 20 kilometers south of the Arapa mine. Lucara is fortunate that we were able to purchase the asset and construct and build and bring that the Karowe mine into production in 2012. I think that since 2012, we have added immensely to the wonderful story of diamonds of Botswana with the recoveries of some of the most significant rough diamonds that have ever been seen on the planet, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. And obviously with that, there are impacts to the local communities. We have impacts, and we share in the benefits of the mine through a payment of a royalty, in our case, directly to the government based on diamond sales, and obviously through tax payments and direct employment. We're very proud of our direct employment. We have over 98% of our workforce are local citizens of Botswana. We don't have a heavy reliance on expatriate workforce. And we try and focus on listening to the communities, responding to the community's concerns, and ultimately creating projects with communities which are driven by them, owned by them, and ultimately sustainable by those communities once mining comes to an end, because diamond deposits are finite resources. And part of the Lucara vision is basically to use innovation to create value and to make a difference across the diamond industry. And I think what we have seen here today, what we do at the mine site itself, using innovative ways of diamond recovery, feeds through to the technology that we saw in the planning of that diamond, the 67 days spent planning a diamond to ultimately come up with the best outcome for the purchaser, and not necessarily the best outcome for the biggest potential diamond that can come out of it, but one that is obviously marketable, and making a difference in events like this. The involvement of GIA mapping and being able to watch a stone go from its origin through to the final polished product does make a change, and I think is being driven by consumers. Within the area of the Karowe mine, there's 18 villages. We communicate on an annual basis with all those communities. We participate in kodlas, which are community meetings on a quarterly basis. We rotate through those 18 villages. We have subscribed to and report against 10 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Those Sustainable Development Goals were arrived at through both internal and external stakeholder engagements, which basically means we listen to our employees and we listen to the concerns of the local communities, and we focused on those 10. And in in 2020, given the COVID crisis, we focused on 3 of those 10 Sustainable Development Goals, one being no hunger, one being good health and well-being, and one being gender equality. Obviously, the no hunger, with people not being able to work in some instances, providing food hampers to the communities, good health and sanitation, and ensuring that our workforce was safe at the mine. In Botswana, mining was considered as an essential service. Our mine continued to operate throughout 2020, observing very strict COVID protocols. And we ensured that our workforce was safe and that they carried that safety and those messages home to their home communities to ensure that everybody stayed safe and was able to stay healthy. And then around gender equality, given unfortunate circumstances, there's a big focus on gender-based violence, and communicating that through to our workforce and through to the community, through local governments, the national governments, and engaging in those community meetings. So we try to, again, listen to the communities. We have something we call the Karowe Village Initiative, which we've got a number of projects that are underway. One, which has been quite successful and speaks to these activities being sustainable in the long term, is the Mokabilo Farm Cooperative that was built to address malnutrition in one of the communities about 100 kilometers from the mine. It's been very successful in producing excess produce, which can be sold into the local market, eggs that can be sold in the local market, but ensuring that the nutritional elements are there for the village to get away from the no hunger and to get away from the no poverty by creating employment. So these are something that obviously at the Lucara, at the parent company level, is very important. At the Lucara Botswana level, it's very important, and it's very important to our workforce. And I think it flows through to good stories that can be told about the diamonds and the impacts that they have on the communities. And then to talk about Karowe itself, we were mining something called the AK6 kimberlite at Karowe. It was discovered way back in 1969, but mining didn't start there until 2010, when we constructed the mine and achieved full commercial production in 2012. One of the most unique attributes of the AK6 kimberlite is that it has a very coarse diamond size population. So it has a very coarse diamond size frequency distribution, which means there are a lot of large diamonds. And in our case, about 6% of our total production sits in diamonds in excess of 10.8 carats in weight, or the common term specials. And given that we have a relatively globally a modest diamond production of between 350 and 400,000 carats a year, this translates into recovering between 30 and 35 plus 100 carat diamonds on an annual basis. One of the remarkable things about the resource is that we have a consistent recovery of these large diamonds. We have a consistent recovery across, the range of qualities. As everyone on the call probably understands, not every diamond comes out of the ground looking like the 106. carat stone that Hari Krishna bought and morphed into that beautiful 30 carat polished. So not every one of the plus 100 carats is a true beauty, to use a Canadian word, but you know, a good proportion of them are, and they're consistently of that quality. In order to recover those diamonds, we have used innovation. We have a very unique diamond processing circuit at Karowe, which we commissioned in 2015 after recognizing that there was a very coarse size distribution at Karowe. There was a lot of value locked up in these large stones, and we needed to recover them as soon as possible in the processing circuit, ideally to minimize damage. And it's about recovering value and preserving that value. So we use sensor-based bulk sorters with X-ray transmission technology. The service provider of that is Tomra Solutions out of Germany. And what we're looking for there is the carbon signature of what's on the belt. And so we were able to extract these diamonds out of sized material, running through these machines at tonnages up to 150 tons an hour. The software and the technology recognizes the carbon signature and ejects those diamonds from the stream. I think that is one of the major differences that sets us aside, is that we have set up that circuit to recover these large diamonds. We have demonstrated over the last 6 years that the technology works through the recovery of some of the most remarkable diamonds that have been recovered in the last over 100 years, including the Lesedi La Rona at 1,109 carats, which Tom and I actually got to sit across the table from each other in New York and look at back in 2016. I think that with the recovery of the Swallow, the 1,758, an unbroken diamond recovered in what we call our mega diamond recovery circuit ahead of the autogenous mill. These are all important diamond recoveries. The 549 Sethwena, which we recovered just about a year ago in around this time frame. And diamonds like the 100 carat diamond. And we saw the image of it. It looks like it took a few knocks along the way, but ultimately our goal is to recover these diamonds as early as possible in the process, minimal damage to them, so that companies like Hari Krishna can go and create these beautiful polished diamonds and tell the story of Botswana diamonds.
Dr. John, I'm sure.
And so, like Lucara, we're very pleased to be part of this. We're very proud of our accomplishments at the mine, and we're extremely pleased and happy to see, you know, our clients take these beautiful diamonds forward and make some stunning polished diamonds, which hopefully will bring joy and happiness to many households. Right? This is the end game here.
And when we say Eric Bhai and Mr. John, we are very happy, and Diamond is very lucky. Okay, what type that you care about the Lucara, similar care about the Hari Krishna. We care about our employee house, either about food, we insurance, safety for helmet, we give you for education, for health, for we do the marathon, we do yoga. So many we are similarity about the Lucara and Hari Krishna. So where diamond come from and where diamond manufacturing, similar way. Maybe end of the day also where diamond go, similar environment diamond go from there.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So I think if we can park the SDG goal setting and maybe come back to it, because I know that Leanne will have some commentary on not just setting, but evidencing SDGs. And that's a really interesting topic. Hopefully we'll have time to cover. But Dr. Armstrong, you mentioned that you already have a lot of time with Tom Moses at the GIA looking at these crystals in person as a part of this global story. And so I'll turn it to Tom. You know, we've discussed in the past that the GIA's science-based method for determining origin really represents the apex of gemological research. So I'll put it to you, you know, can you tell us a little bit about how it works, and maybe also how diamond manufacturers are leveraging this grading report for greater transparency?
Thank you, Eric. And I too want to welcome everybody, and it's a pleasure to participate in this webinar today. As both Genshinbai and John were talking, a number of things came to mind first, and I recall we published something in our quarterly journal in 1970, and it was from President Khama of Botswana at that time, and he talked about, as I recall, in 1969, beef was the largest export from Botswana. And I think he would be very pleased to see, and he also talked about his vision was that at some point that diamonds, of course, would help fuel the economy and support the infrastructure in Botswana, and it would be driven by local citizens, and that vision really has played out, and I compliment Lucara in executing that. And it's great to see having also an office in Botswana, and I think also fully staffed by local citizens. We're really proud to be part of supporting the industry and citizens of Botswana. And the other thing, as I was listening to this talk, and as I also recall the Karwe, the name actually, I think the local language, I think, means precious stone. So it's
that's correct. Yes.
Yeah. So it's aptly for this stone that we're talking about today, and the 106 carat is a very pure type 2, which John, you mentioned. Not all the stones from Botswana or from Karwe come out that way, but this is a particularly pure stone, and it really is a hero stone, and I compliment Hare Krishna for their utilization of the rough and the execution of this stone. So what does GIA do? So part of what we have developed over many decades, in characterizing literally tens of millions of diamonds using an evolving set of analytical techniques, we began to recognize that we could often, if we analyzed a rough diamond, we could then analyze the polished diamonds with the same techniques and link the two together. And so we began this process. Well, actually, the process has evolved. It's something we've been doing for, as I said, many decades. But the service that began a couple of years ago for this traceability program, and clearly it's more and more important to consumers today, especially young consumers wanting to know where things come from. And John, you talked about the social and economic benefits to the local economy. Ganshimbai talked about the benefits of the diamond polishing, how it benefits the local citizens of India. And part of our goal was to allow these stories to come out about the country of origin and the process of manufacturing. But the unique part of what GIA is doing, unlike a traditional scan of a rough diamond, which was illustrated earlier, where you can actually see how the polished diamonds would come out and fit together and what those options are. Our process is much more analytical, where we're looking at impurities, atomic level defects, growth structure, and as I said, we carefully do that to each rough diamond as part of this program. And then when the diamonds are polished, they come back to us, and in the grading process, we add these additional steps, which then prove that the polished diamond actually came from the rough diamond that we initially characterized. And in some ways, I would say it's a little bit still trust but verify. So we have seen cases where someone has submitted the polished diamond referring back to the report number of the rough diamond, and it has turned out not to be the same stone. Now, I think some of the cases it's just an accident or so on, but it's I think really does provide the ultimate consumer assurance of that a polished diamond did originate from a rough diamond that was characterized by GIA. I will say, and I think it will be, Leanne will be able to help, and I think it's a great, I would call it the weakness of GIA's system is we are trusting using the transaction papers, the invoices, Kimberley certificate, et cetera, to for the diamond, for its origin to get to GIA. So that part we are really trusting. So it's I think the blockchain database that Everledger has built really gives us that extra assurance that the rough diamonds, we can then say with assurance that they are coming from a given location. And then from there, it's really in GIA's hands using analytical techniques to ensure that the polished diamonds are coming from that rough diamond. So that really closes, I think, any loophole in the process. So that is the process, Eric, that we are using. And again, I compliment Hari Krishna for the great execution. And I want to think about Caraway Mine being commissioned, I think, less than 10 years ago. And John, you named some of these incredible stones. Its legacy already surpasses many mines that are more than 100 years old. So it's truly remarkable, the large diamonds that have been recovered. So thank you.
Thanks, Tom. I think both myself and even most veterans in the jewelry industry in attendance today have probably learned something, a thing or two already today. And, you know, if we could pick up on this concept of blockchain's potential for catching loopholes or potential rough to polished transaction mismatches, maybe I can put it to you, Leanne, you know better than anybody here. How do you think that this technology is going to affect sustained customer value for the diamond industry?
So firstly, I think blockchain plays a critical and important role, but not the only role. It's a coordination of many technologies and different layers of data that come together to provide assurance around and evidence the transparency around not only the story of the diamond, but of course the transactions that sit alongside it as it passes from hands to hand. Consumers today are starting to become familiar with this trust lust, and it's this alignment with asking questions, not only where does it come from, but also what's happened along that journey. And John spoke so very clearly about not only the environmental positioning of the mine, but also the social good. And so too, Hari Krishna and the work that they have done for many generations in diamond manufacturing provides for an extreme amount of value, not just embedded within the stone itself, but across the broad narrative of all communities. You may be super excited about the quality of the diamond and how it is now posing significant value and impact across so many countries and communities in the world. But as we start to transform technology layers like blockchain and bringing together so many different forms of scanning technologies, I think today's just the showcase of what the future possible holds. And to a certain extent, it can't be done without a coordination of technologies that purely sits there to be able to make those connections clear, trustful, and bring that story right the way out through the entirety of the journey of that diamond. I'm not sure that we have captured happiness in the blockchain today, but let's make sure that that is definitely one of the intents moving forward. How do we measure not just only the impact on people and planet and lives of those in the industry, but maybe there's something in Gunsham's view about a happiness index. Eric, I'll leave you there. You're on mute.
I was on mute there, trying to be considerate. Thank you. So I think a question for everybody. I'll just give everybody a chance to chime in on this, right? And to pick up on what Leanne has captured and what we've discussed today. We agree that retail buyers are seeking new sources of value in sustainable and ethical business practices. I think that's clear. And it's not really only consumer decisions, but also larger policy goals that are going to include tariffs on origin, human rights compliance, our environmental footprint, things that are really going to rely on supply chain transparency. So I'll put it to everybody, how do you think that these new technologies that we're discussing really not only meet consumer expectations, but can also transform global markets? If anybody wants to chime in on that.
Important, sir.
So maybe, Eric, can I start?
Absolutely, please. The floor is yours, Brajesh.
Yeah, so maybe HK can be an example of saying, Lucara gives the diamond example of 106. We connect all of it from Lucara, from polishing, manufacturing, to GIA, to Everledger platform, and then consumer. So we are connecting the whole supply chain here as an example of technology. So as Ghanshyam mentioned about My Diamond Story program, we do it since 10 long years. But here, what I feel important part can be for the consumer is there is a third-party platform which approves all of it together and create the whole trust level, as Ghanshyam mentioned about faith as well. So here, technology comes into the picture wherein it is connecting rough to manufacturing, to a polish and a grading all together into one platform. So here I feel it is the best use of technology in our industry to connect the whole supply chain.
And technology to so much use also now and future also day by day more. This is technology, that's why we are in one platform. This is not technology, then we are in not one platform. And we are India, so we look the last March to now, no any customer come from all over the world from diamond purchase. But day by day, we are more technology used in website, in all, whatever customer need the information in our website, the customer without look, customer buy diamond. So technology to sure happen, and maybe what is the today and what is the past, this we know. But what is the future? What is the next of the future? That only give you answer in technology. So technology to sure in future also so much important in our industry.
So I might chip in here, Eric. I mean, I think when I finished my comments, I had touched on the sustainable development goals, and I think you sort of half posed a question about how those things can be tracked and so forth. So we report on those 10 SDGs through our sustainability report. It's available on our website, where we're setting targets against those sustainable development goals, and we report on our successes and where we potentially would have shortfalls, and all that is available for people to view. We're also a member of the Responsible Jewelry Council and go through those audits. The Sustainable Development Report is written against the Global Reporting Initiative, GRI. We have independent assurances done on those reports. So I think from our side, in terms of having that information, making those commitments and reporting against them, we make all of that information publicly available for people to view. In terms of our footprint, in terms of use of fossil fuels and things like that, are also reported through the sustainability report, so people can get a real feel of that component of the impact of the operation from all aspects of the operation. And then when it comes to the recovery of the diamonds themselves, we actually collect at mine sites and in our office in Gaborone a lot of detailed information about when these specials are recovered. We can track it back to the day. We have a pretty good idea of where within the open pit it came from. And there's a lot of granular information that resides in the background that sits there prior to it being presented for sale and ultimately joining into that next part of the diamond as it gets manufactured. So I think that there's a lot of levers there that can be pulled, provide additional information to the manufacturer and ultimately the consumer about where did this particular diamond come from, right? It's a big investment, and if the person would like to know what day was it recovered, what does the machine look like that it was recovered from, and things of that nature, all that information resides there and can be levered into the story for sure.
It's a follow-on question to that, Dr. Armstrong, is you mentioned the litany of items that can be discovered about diamond origin. From your view, what is relevant, what is not so relevant? Does it really matter the Kimberley pipe that it came from or the machine that was used? Where do you see the most value?
I think that the value is driven by the, if the consumer or the manufacturer has a question, you should be able to answer that with a certain level of confidence. And in our case, I think we can answer those questions. So the information is there. It's not assigning a level of importance to each piece of it. But certainly if a consumer is curious about, what particular day was this stone recovered, then we can provide that information. To my mind, it would be driven by the consumer, by the manufacturer. If they really want to dig down and get that information, then we can do our best to provide that back to them.
Thank you. Anyone else on thoughts about applying these sort of new technologies to not only meet consumer expectations, but also transform global markets? On the consumer expectation end, we've already received a couple of questions that we can look back to in the Q&A, but if anybody has something that they would like to weigh in on, it would be fantastic to include that now.
Eric, it's Tom. I think going back to some of the comments John has made, and I think a historic perception of mining anything, I think many people, they have the impression or illusion that it by its very nature isn't sustainable, and it potentially scars the earth. But what is really, I think, missing is that these socioeconomic immense benefits that are happening, one, and two, and again, John would certainly speak to it better than I, but as I understand it, the responsibility that the mine owners have in restoration of the mines at the end of their life. But so much benefit occurs during that period, and much of it actually goes on after even a mine closes because of new skills and so on that local people have gained over the time. And I think that's something that most people would be surprised to hear, and also very pleased to know more about that. John, I hope I didn't misspeak, but I think that's an important aspect that doesn't seem to come out.
Yeah, and I think you're correct. I mean, we can look back, like I said in my opening remarks, the 50 years of mining history in Botswana, an extremely well-trained workforce, and certainly in the the north central part of Botswana and the Beteti sub-district. Now you have well-established infrastructure, well-established supply lines, which ultimately lead to ideally a better environment for people to live and thrive, and a lot of job opportunities are created and continue to be created as we implement the new innovations at the mine sites in terms of mining practices, processing practices, and these become exportable skills around the world. And I think it's now, after 50 odd years, that there's a certain level of maturity within the area and across the country when it comes to the mining and the job opportunities. And of course, those flow down through to the activities that take place in Gaborone. In our office there, we do the sorting and sales and things of that nature, right? So there's a lot of knock-on effects right through the whole economy, and it speaks to how Botswana has emerged as one of the stronger countries with respect to the health of the GDP. The overall governance systems that are in place are a strong testament to the mining industry and the diamond mining industry.
Thanks, Dr. Armstrong. Yeah, this is a really good summary, especially your comment about job creation and skills around the world, that it's not simply extraction, but as I talk to people in the diamond industry, it's surprising, or rather just the finished jewelry industry and jewelry brands, it's not always prevalent to them that items that are extracted in Canada or Russia might be cut and polished in Botswana and so on. So we do have some...
And I think ultimately, the recovery of some of these larger diamonds has driven, technological advances within the manufacturing side of the business in terms of understanding those diamonds and mapping out the best possible outcome from a financial perspective for the manufacturers. Right, the yields are going up, so there's more profitability coming out of those diamonds. I mean, these are all important advances, and ultimately, I think that component of it feeds into the work that GIA does. I'm sure, Tom, in terms of mapping the internal characteristics of these diamonds, understanding them. I mean, we're talking about big diamonds, but we also have to really put it on the table. They are rare in nature, right? And
Absolutely.
Understanding their origins and things like this are important questions to ask from an understanding of Earth processes. We can get in, really into those type of things, but it feeds across, a wide cross section of things that are happening in the scientific world, in the manufacturing world, and leading through to ultimately the consumer being happy with with their purchase, right? Bringing joy, the joy factor, I suppose, right? The happiness factor.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, John, about there's probably, we estimate it's very difficult to, maybe Rajesh and Ghanshyam may have a better idea, but we estimate that there's probably a 10 to 15% yield gain over the last decade with technology, which is, again, better utilization of raw material and kind of a more efficient use of these limited rare natural resources.
No, you're right, Tom. Last 10, 15 years, maybe before 2000, India not so much use the technology. That's why no India manufacturing the bigger stone. After 2002, 2005, in all Indian people, manufacturing people use the technology. That's why bigger size the manufacturing. And yield-wise also, we are very much agree about maybe we heard about the 25 years before in crystal, 50% yield come. Now in crystal, 65% yield come. So this is from our technology. And also John Bhai says similar in Serene Galaxy also, maximum value add about the technology used and made sure more value addition.
Everybody, Leanne, I don't want to cut you off if you had something that you wanted to inject into the conversation. We have some questions that are coming in that are relevant to this dialogue as well, so I'm happy to bring up some of those.
I saw some of the questions coming in about the happiness commentary, and it is an interesting construct that has been around for some time. The discussions are certainly in many of the thought leadership bubbles in the world, including the World Economic Forum, and the gross domestic product. And as we start to measure trade based on the purest of its invoice values, has now started to evolve into a gross happiness product or a happiness index. And I think as an industry as a whole, we do bring a lot of joy. These intangible but yet very important connections that should be bound up within the story. So Ghanshyam, I'm very interested in being sure that we can align even further on the happiness index. Countries in the world are leading in trying to capture that non-tangible element that ultimately is really the purpose and the impact that, of course, industries and employers and incredible one-off offerings like the Lucara stone is bringing to the globe. We start to see measures around sustainability coming super important, particularly within the next decade, if not now. This is certainly the year for change and the decade for action as we come out of a COVID environment and the world is beginning to recover and global trade and investments are starting to pour back into not just only technology, but the rebuilding of our entire global health system. And it's at this time to keep the people at the forefront of our minds. And as we start to see these technologies maturing and bringing together that sort of connected state, we probably won't be hosting webinars like this in the next 5 years because it will become the normal. It will become the how we have always or should have always done things. And so we're in a fortunate time where these technologies are able to be digested quite easily across industry and bring together participants with the same mindset and core set of values in a network of value creation, taking what was once seen as just supply chain transactions and creating a value chain. And that's really the showcased example of what's happening here.
Thanks, Leanne. Another question that has come in, and maybe you will have noticed this one as well, and we hear this a lot, and that is someone writes in, having origin also creates more sales as collectors focus on collecting origin specimens, which have a unique layer of rarity. So there's rarity there, right? Maybe there's a good story there. Another question that's come in, and I'll summarize here, and that is effectively, do these types of measures and stories and traceability and authenticity and validation, are they as applicable to your half carat stone, your quarter carat stone, as they are to a remarkable stone or a diamond like the Lucara Brilliant Diamond? I can put that one to Brijesh or to Ghanshyam if you like.
Yeah, you are right. In 50 point also possible, in 1 carat also possible, but bigger size, then more value addition. But sure, we have that type the technology we use, and that type the we have infrastructure. Okay, we have any stone manufacturing about the 20 point up, all we have in all level, we have that all track level, okay, where we buy from rough, where we manufacturing, and where we sell. So that's why we just mentioned, okay, we have My Diamond Story, that type the we have brand in the USA. So that originally country from where, and where the diamond manufacturing, and where you use. So any size that possibility can be used, but whatever bigger size, then more value addition.
Thank you. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, Eric, it's Tom. Just to add to that, interestingly enough, as part of our program in support of Ghanshyam's point, yes, most of the finished stones are 1 to 3 carats, but of course, then there are the hero stones like the 30 carat. But interestingly enough, there is interest by some to have this origin story, the origin of a diamond for smaller sizes. So polished stones under a carat. And it was part of our goal in doing this, as we thought about moving forward, is democratizing this process so that it could be accessible to more and more people. And I think when one thinks of especially the bridal purchase, where it's the significant purchase, also the emotional part, the happiness part that has been raised. So we've really tried to make that possible. Now, and of course we're not involved in the value side, so we don't know the value. But I think rather than thinking of it as just as does it create value for the end user? So what some may in the industry think, well, that's a high amount or a large amount to invest in that half carat diamond, but that's often a diamond that will stay with a couple and a bridal for decades, and that additional whatever that cost is, I think is often easily justified by the consumer. So when we look at it from a consumer eye, and that's something that we've really tried to think through when we develop this service. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. You mentioned a focus on bridal, a tradition of engagement rings. One question that's come in, and maybe we can address it as well, it's related to Everledger platform access and future capability. So I could put this to Leanne, I'll summarize, but as a diamond is almost always going to be a part of a piece of jewelry with much more complex supply chains. How's this technology going beyond authenticity and origin to aspects of sustainable sourcing for other materials, and then the ethics and positive environmental impacts there? I know you've touched on it a little bit, but maybe you can address it one more time for us.
The core set of technologies that exist today are as important as the internet was in 1989. Imagine the business and the connectedness across the world, even in the formation of just communications. If we had taken the internet as seriously in 1989, the transformation value would have occurred in a quicker set of outcomes. And so the power of what's been presented today is that connectedness at a level where we're starting to see these technologies transform at the very core of the World Wide Web, the internet. And the connectedness to that will become critically important across not just only one industry of the diamond industry or jewelry industry, but I would say every single industry across the world. And as we start to have cross dependencies on the ways upon which manufacturing is even changing and technologies are coming to the forefront, these are changing the approaches that manufacturing is taking, but the connectedness around the community, the measurements in things that are not always seen by the eye. The transformation of this will mean customers will start asking questions not about the value of the stone, how much am I willing to pay for it, but what are the encompassing values around the stone? And that really goes to the heart of exactly what we're speaking about today, to bring out not just only the measurement and the connections, and we can start connecting across even greenhouse gas emissions and doing those types of measurements now, and empirical evidence can exist. But coupled with that is the question of saying, but what does this actually mean? And it's the interpretive value of meaning that I think is where the industry is starting to yet again show the world what's possible. We already see this technology well established in other rare earths, metals and minerals, and those supply chains that are not only just supplying those directly into the luxury goods segment or in the jewelry industry, but of course they're being used for various other forms of industrial commodity support. And so echoing just back, I've been involved in technology for the better part of 25 years, and every single adventure, and I do call my businesses adventures, because as we start to see technology transform industry, the most exciting part is we're now seeing industry transform technology. And what I mean by that, the greater use of the technology within customer bases or industry, mining companies and manufacturers helps to be able to transform the core of that engine in ways that were probably never intended. And if we keep at the forefront of understanding the purpose, the value creation, and as Gunshan said, happiness, then of course we are in a form of time where we can start to demand different things of technology in a way that can underpin characteristics and qualities to not just only just simply answer a question of where something comes from, but what is the value and the impact that it's bringing across the industry and across the world.
Thanks, Leanne. That's great. And I really appreciate everybody's time this morning. I feel like we've learned a ton. I feel like we've adequately summarized and addressed the questions that have come in. One question that did come in is from the outset, I mentioned that if you had registered for this event in time as a gemstone or jewelry brand, you'd have access to the Everledger platform and be paired with Hari Krishna to take a look at that stone. One question that came in is difficulty. I don't know if it's finding the stone or getting access. I'll certainly follow up with that individual after the call, but I'm joined by my colleague, Everlegend in Dublin, Ireland, Roisin Morgan, who can just show very briefly how to log on to the Everledger platform and discover the Lucara Brilliant Diamond.
Thanks so much, Eric. So I'm just going to share my screen for just a moment. Okay, and so you're brought through to our retailer account. So this is a retailer, Schrader, who's our CTO. So he set up an account for us. So we sit as a retailer on production at the moment, and this is just in order to help find the stone. So I'm in the area of Fine Diamonds, which is the pre-sales area that you can find stock to purchase. And so if you just turn on your GIA Diamond Origin Report toggle here, you will see our diamond coming up now. Sorry, my latent internet in Dublin is not great. Let me just see if I can stop sharing for just 2 seconds so I can bring it up, and then I can come back to you. One second, guys.
I think we've all been there. A year of Zoom calls has taught us something about
Absolutely.
Any other questions, please be sure to add them into the Q&A box, as it looks like we may be wrapping up and coming to time. I appreciate that everybody on this call is quite busy in their day. And it can be either very early for somebody like me or very, very late for somebody like Leanne, who's calling in from Brisbane. So Rasheen, I'll give you another moment there and we'll see if we can pull it up. If not, please feel free to LinkedIn us, Twitter us, email us, any way that you want to contact Everledger. Please feel free to do that.
Yeah, so just let me share my screen now. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't pray to the demo gods before the webinar. So what you'll notice here is that we've brought up our 30.15 carat diamond D flawless. So you see here by turning on our GIA toggle, we have narrowed our search down to the grading lab GIA and narrowed our search down to the grading report DOR. And then we can just access this diamond. And it contains all the events that we've already shown in the video. So you can see origin, sorting, assessing, planning, cutting, polishing, quality control, and grading. So you can see all of the images here and videos at each point of the chain of custody. And then at the end, you can see our diamond origin report that contains all of our grading information and images and videos.
Excellent, Rasheen. Thank you so much for that quick run through. Again, for those of you who have been onboarded to this platform, have questions and want a one-on-one demonstration or any help, please reach out to any one of us. And maybe Nat, if we can put up our screen. Is there anything else that that we can hear from our panelists, or anything that maybe we have missed in this really insightful discussion today? If not, I'd like to thank everybody from Hare Krishna Exports, Lucara Diamond, GIA. Thank you very much, Tom Moses, and thanks, Leanne, for joining us here. And appreciate you joining in today's event.
Great.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye now.
Okay.